Hello and welcome, beautiful people. In this video, we continue on with the book titled Dynamic Thought, Success and Character Building by Henry Thomas Hamblin. It is in the public domain. If you're new to the channel, so glad you found us. If you'd like to catch up with the previous chapters, please go to the book playlist and access the links there. And also, if you're moving along and want to get to the next chapter in this video, hit the timestamp. Otherwise, I'm going to share my narrator's comments regarding the previous lesson that the author provided. I like how the author, with each new lesson, takes us gradually into deeper understanding of how the process works. There is no doubt, I'm sure you figured it out already, that we will come across roadblocks and challenges that will put us to the test. And I say this because I feel like right now I'm being put to the test and I am eager to take the test. That's how I'm putting it in my mind. And that whatever situation I'm going through, I am slightly uncomfortable because it's new to me. And I am telling myself that I'm excited to learn new things and to meet new people. So I'm seeing this moment in my life as a challenge to overcome maybe certain shyness, maybe to overcome the idea that I'm being judged, and just focus on what is in my heart, what I can share, and the truth of what I can share in the best honest way for myself, that perhaps those along the way will find hope in knowing that, hey, this is a journey, and while individual to all, I feel like we are in one of those like relay races where we are part of one team, but I have a run to do and I need to do it and execute it in the best way possible, put my best effort forward for myself, but also for the victory of our team, the human race. So it's kind of weird the way that I see life, and it's challenging at the same time. And I just need for myself to not be worried about the externals, but know that people will see the soul of me. And that's kind of what I'm dealing with, but that's okay. And I'm being sincere and putting it all out there with you to let you know that perhaps you are running a race. And don't worry, don't give up. No one's judging you. Only you need to know that, can you do a little bit better than yesterday? And that makes it fun. You're not competing with anyone. You are running your own race to better your own time. And with that will be you savoring a great victory at the end. No one else needs to know, right? Just you feeling great. And by then, doing that, your energy raises the energy of all those around you. And what a great feeling. And I'm so glad to be a part of that journey with you. And hopefully you come along with my journey as well. All right. So this takes us back to where the author was saying there's a law running through the universe, which is that like attracts like. And the operation of this law is unalterable. And that is so true. All we need to do is look at the people that we surround ourselves with, and that begins to tell us a little bit about our own energy. We don't have to look very far to see the truth of that. And sometimes that truth is very painful. And I don't know if you've noticed when you try to improve yourself, how some of the people that have been the greatest cause of drama in your life, they begin to like wean themselves out of your life. And you're like, well, what happened? Where are all these people? And they no longer could enjoy the pity party or the drama because you no longer want to be a part of that. You are looking to better yourself. And that draws you to another different circle of vibration. And if right now you might feel that there's no one in your circle, it's because possibly there's a gap in between the lower vibration that you're leaving behind and the gap with the higher vibration that you're trying to reach. And that's okay. Just keep aiming and keep growing. And in that space, enjoy that solitude, enjoy the peace, enjoy the serenity. It won't last forever, because there is one thing I've noticed in life. There are peaks and there are valleys. And while we would love to be at the peaks, sometimes we need to come and enjoy the valleys so that we can drink from the water and bring forth also and help others rise as we go back up to the peaks. And that's how I see it. The other thing that he mentioned, that we need to be of strong will, because the strong will serves as a sentinel for the right thought to enter into the subconscious mind. And that does take a strong will to decide what you want to watch, who you're going to hang out with, and what words you're going to allow come out of your mouth, because it's only a reflection of the thoughts that you are allowing in your mind. It is a lot of work to be a guardian sentinel of your thoughts, of your words, of your actions. Kind of that's what he's referring to. No matter who we are associating with, we need to continually cleanse our mind and thought by the use of denial of evil. And he built up what is evil. And evil, of course, is poverty. It's lack. It's all these things that do not resonate with a higher quality of life. I agree it's a sin that there are people going hungry. I agree that people need to be living their best life ever. And whatever is hindering them is evil. And when the author says that failure or lack of success in life is not due to outward circumstances, but simply a weakness of character, and that it is through affirmations that we can build up our character from our former weak areas. And see, that takes dedication and an acknowledgement that we have it within each one of us to be better than we were yesterday, to change just by small degrees in our composure, in our compassion, in our courage, and in our love. So the trick here is in persevering with our affirmation, if at least in the morning and at night, to do them and stick with it for 3 days, and then see if you can stick with it for another 3 days. And before you know it, you're doing affirmations also in the afternoon, and you're catching yourself when you say something negative and you just say, hey, where's my magic eraser? I deny that, and I affirm the positive in its stead. And you know that any time in the past that you have put your mind to something, you have achieved it. That serves as a reminder that we do have an I can and I will attitude. Having said that, it's time to turn the page for part 7. To the ordinary man in the street, a thought is an airy thing, a mere flash in the consciousness. It comes, it goes, and there is an end to it. To the student of mind, however, thought is known to be the power that is greater than any other power, a force that controls all other forces. An American writer, speaking of universal mind, says, it thinks and sun springs into shape. It wills and worlds disintegrate. It loves and souls are born. It will thus be seen that thought is an origin of the visible world. All that we see around us is the result of thought. We may even go further and say that all the invisible forces which keep the wonderful machinery of the universe working perfectly and smoothly are but the thought energies of the same universal mind. As in the macrocosm, so is it in the microcosm. The subliminal mind of man is the same in essence as the universal mind of the universe. The difference is not one of kind, but of degree. In our world, our circumstances, our life, our bodies, we stand supreme, or rather we have within us the power which properly directed can make us supreme. This power is thought. Thought is so subtle, so elusive, that it has by the majority of men been considered impossible of control, but the greatest philosophers, seers, and leaders in the world's history have known differently. All that they achieved, they accomplished through the power of thought, and this was possible because they had learned the art of thought control. What man has done, man can do. This was never so true as it is today, because the science of mind is now being spread abroad, and that it is possible for quite ordinary people to learn how to control their thoughts is now known to be a scientific possibility. Dr. Abrams, in his epoch-making book entitled New Concepts in Diagnosis and Treatment, the Practical Application of Electronic Theory in the Interpretation and Treatment of Disease, describes how he has discovered the energy of thought and measured it by means of an instrument called the biodynamometer. With one subject in a room with closed doors and another subject in another room 40 or more feet away, it was found that one subject could affect the other by a definite exercise of thought. Anger and emotion yielded an energy which produced an effect at a distance of 80 feet. Dr. Abrams also found that there are 3 great energy centers in the human body: the right and the left side of the brain, called by him the right and the left psychomotor areas, and the fingertips. When the brain is actively engaged in thought, there is an increase in the discharge of energy from the psychomotor areas and also from the fingertips. It was also found that ordinary people discharged energy from one psychomotor area only, but a great thinker discharged energy from both. The amount of energy discharged in this way can be gauged by the fact that Edward Markham, the poet, discharged energy from his left psychomotor area alone, equal to a resistance of 60 ohms. As the energy discharged from a giant magnet with a lifting capacity of 400 pounds to the square inch is only 32 ohms, we can form some idea of the immense power of thought which man possesses. The flow of energy from the fingertips is also suggestive. In all the ages, the laying on of hands has been recognized as a healing act. Now it is proved by scientific means to have been simply the power or energy of thought. You will therefore see that thought, so far from being an airy nothing or a mere flash in the consciousness, is a wonderful and potent force, the most wonderful and potent force of which we know. A man is a small individualized part of the universal mind, alike in essence but infinitely less in degree. Just as the universal mind finds expression through all the universe, so does man, when awake to his own interior powers, express himself by the power of his thought, through his body, his work, his circumstances, and his life. Thus far can he go, and no farther. In himself he is an epitome of the universe. Outside of the miniature universe, he has no jurisdiction. By this I mean that man has the power to do what he likes with his own life, but he has no right to dominate other people or to interfere with their lives. I mention this because there is a pernicious practice being taught today. It is known as mind domination. People are being taught that by using what is called the hypnotic gaze by telepathy and heterosuggestion, they can dominate other people. It is quite true. It can be done and is being done. This is precisely the same method as that practiced by certain criminals in America. By this method, people are being deprived of money and property. They sign documents they do not wish to sign, simply because they are compelled to do so by mind domination. No one is to be safe from these misguided people. While you sit in a public room or theater, somebody may be behind you, concentrating his hypnotic gaze upon the back of your neck. When you receive a visit from a traveling salesman, he may be working some of his mind-dominating black art upon you in order to coerce you into acting against your better judgment, simply and solely that he may reap a temporary benefit. This sort of thing is not only being practiced, but is being taught, both in this country and America. I mention this in order to put you on your guard against such practices. First, so that you can avoid being hypnotized by these people, and second, that you should never under any circumstances use your mind forces in order to dominate other people. Whoever prostitutes his mental powers in this way is hurrying to disaster. To so misuse the tremendous powers of the mind is to destroy oneself, body and soul. All who sink to these practices are deliberately creating for themselves an inferno of trouble. The powers of the mind are like electricity. For the latter, if used according to certain laws, produces beneficial results. If used in opposition to these laws, it burns, maims, and destroys. So it is with the powers of the mind. Used aright, they lead to success, happiness, and all accomplishment. If used wrongly, they grind to powder. Both hypnotism and mind domination are being so largely used and taught that it is advisable to always work against them. They are really a revival of the black magic of bygone days. Sorcery, witchcraft, necromancy, thaumaturgy, they are all the practice of the same power, and all who use them bring destruction upon their own heads. Sorcery, black magic, or hypnotism, or whatever you like to call it, is accomplished by the lower mind of man. The higher self, the perfect mental or spiritual creature, the real ego, has nothing to do with it. This is why hypnotic healing is always harmful. If a person is healed by hypnotic suggestion, in about 3 months' time, either the same disease will reappear or a new and worse disease will manifest itself. But healing done by the higher perfect mind, that is one with and forms part of the universal infinite mind, that is in turn one and part of the infinite principle of good. Such healing is permanent and can have no relapse. By this way, we see that the higher mind is infinitely more powerful than the lower. Therefore, hypnotism and mind domination can be overcome and guarded against by the use of the higher mental powers. To work against hypnotism, it is necessary not only to live as much as possible in the atmosphere of your perfect world of mind, but also to deny the power of hypnotism and to affirm the perfect power of the perfect universal mind of which you, your higher self, form a part. If you work in this way, you will make yourself proof against all hypnotism, sorcery, witchcraft, and malpractice of every kind. The law which keeps the universe running so smoothly is the law of attraction. It is this law that brought it together. It is this law that keeps it from falling apart. Those who practice mind domination are acting in direct opposition of this immutable law. They are trying to do by force that which should be accomplished by attraction. Therefore, they are encompassing their own mental, moral, and physical disintegration. All the universe, in all its plane, is ruled by this law. In the spiritual world, it is called the law of love. In the mental world, the law of attraction. In the material world, it is known as the law of affinity. They all mean the same. In essence, they are the same. Just as the electrons are called together in the invisible aether, thus to form an atom, so in turn are atoms brought together and by vibrating at different rates of speed create what we call form. This is matter, so-called, built up into all the beautiful forms we see simply by the law of attraction. It is this law that holds all matter together. If it failed, rocks would fly asunder and all things would disintegrate because the power that attracted one atom to another would have ceased to operate. It is the same in the mental world. Everything works according to this same law. It is because like creates like and like attracts like that it is possible to revolutionize our lives by the power of thought. Thoughts, said Prentice Mulford, are things. Thoughts, says T. Sharper Knowlson, so far from being mere brain flashes, are judging solely from their effects real entities apparently composed of spiritual substance, the nature of which is outside the range of discovery of our present faculties. Thought, says Levy, is not an event which dies in a world ethereal, supersensible, imperceptible. It has continually its likeness and repercussion in our organism. Thought is not, says Ralph Waldo Trine, as in many times supposed, a mere indefinite abstraction or something of a like nature. It is, on the contrary, a vital, living force, the most vital, subtle, and irresistible force in the universe. In our very laboratory experiments, we are demonstrating the great fact that thoughts are forces. They have form and quality and substance and power, and we are beginning to find that there is what we may term a science of thought. We are beginning to find also that through the instrumentality of our thought forces, we have creative power in reality. Many more authorities could be quoted, but these will suffice to show that thoughts are just as much things as town halls or mountains are things. It is a great mistake to imagine that because you can see a thing with your physical eyes, feel it with your hands, or hit it with a hammer, that it is for that reason more real than something you can neither see nor feel. On the contrary, the unseen is vastly more powerful, lasting, and forceful than anything you can see with your physical eyes. What you see with your eyes is only the effect of greater causes which are invisible. Everything exists in the unseen before it is manifested in the seen. And in this sense, it is true that the unseen things are real, while the things that are seen are the unreal. The unseen things are cause. The seen things are effect. The unseen things are eternal. The seen things are the changing, the transient. Thoughts, then, are entities, are things, are forces, are vital, subtle powers. They, like everything else and every other force in the universe, are subject to law. This law is the law of attraction. Whatever thoughts you think will attract to you thoughts of a similar nature. According as you create good or bad thoughts, so do you determine whether your life shall be blessed or cursed. If you think a good thought and dwell upon it, and, as it were, nourish it with your meditations, it will not only bless and enrich your life, but will attract hosts of other thoughts of equal power and beauty, which will hasten to minister to you. Thus, if you think success thoughts and affirm them and cling to them in the face of apparent defeat and failure, you will attract to yourself such a wave of powerful, upbuilding, and inspiring thoughts that you will be lifted right over your difficulty and carried as by invisible forces along the path of accomplishment. On the other hand, it is equally true that if you think a weak thought, a low thought, a vile thought, or a thought of failure, there will be attracted to you a host of thoughts of like character, which by their nature will curse you and drag you down. Unto him that hath shall be given, and from him that hath not shall be taken away that which he hath, is simply the working of the law of attraction. Think success, and thousands of invisible forces will fly to your aid. Think failure, and innumerable forces will help to make your failure even more complete. If thought is the greatest power of all powers, the most vital, subtle, and irresistible force in the universe, and if your thoughts have the power to attract other thoughts of a like character, then the choice of your thoughts is the most important act of your life. By choosing your thoughts, you choose either success or failure, happiness or misery, health or disease, hope or despair. Says one of deep insight into the nature of things. The things that we see are but a very small fraction of the things that are. The real, vital forces at work in our own lives and in the world about us are not seen by the ordinary physical eye. Yet, they are the causes of which all things we see are merely the effects. Thoughts are forces. Like builds like, and like attract like. For one to govern his thinking, then, is to determine his life. Therefore, do not believe anyone who wants to teach you how to overcome other people and to dominate them either by willpower or by hypnotism. If you seek to get the better of other people and to influence them by mind domination, you are charging full tilt against the law of the universe, and this can only lead to the most disastrous results. The hypnotic gaze and suggestion can never bring you success. It may bring a temporary, fleeting advantage, but this will be followed by disaster either in your business or profession, your body, your life, or your home. By the right use of your thought forces, you can make yourself a magnet and attract to yourself all that you deserve. We each get what he or she deserves. As we improve the quality of our thoughts, so do we become deserving of better results. As we become deserving of better results, so do better things flow to us by the operation of universal law. By the use of carefully graded denials and affirmations, we break the power of evil thought habit and in its place create a new mental attitude, hopeful, strong, cheerful, successful, confident, an attitude of mind that knows not failure, can never be discouraged, that stands firm and unafraid amid the changing scenes of life, an attitude of mind that overcomes, conquers, and achieves, an attitude of mind that lives in a sea of positive, helpful, stimulating thoughts that are the products of the best minds of all ages. Thus it'll come down to this. It is by the use of denials and affirmations, and by persevering in their use, that the life can be changed, circumstances altered, and ambitions realized. By denials and affirmations, we can direct our thought stream into the right channel. By denials and affirmations, we can impress upon our subconscious mind thoughts which, becoming translated into actions, lead to success and all accomplishment. By denials and affirmations, we can break down the force of evil habit and in its place install habits that ennoble and enrich our lives. By denials and affirmations, we can build up our characters, changing what was weak and vacillating into that which is powerful and stable. By denials and affirmations, we can concentrate our consciousness upon thoughts of power, success, and courage, and these in turn will attract to us multitudes of other thoughts of a similar nature. Do you realize, dear reader, the extent of the wonderful power that you hold in your hands? Make denials and affirmations to suit your particular needs. Whatever you desire to do, affirm beforehand that you can do it and that you will do it when the time for doing comes. Whatever disagreeable or difficult duty lies before you, deny failure and affirm beforehand that you can and will do it. That already in your mental world, it is accomplished. Then visualize yourself doing the thing calmly and without effort. Mentally, see yourself dealing with a difficult or unpleasant matter with calm dignity and ease. When the time for action arrives, you will succeed. Meditation. Concentrate your whole attention upon the meditations. If you find your thoughts wandering through lack of concentrative power, make use of the following denial and affirmation. First of all, cleanse the mind by the denial of evil and calm and strengthen it by the affirmation of good. You have, by so doing, raised yourself up into your perfect mental world, breathing the pure air of perfect mental freedom. Now say, mind wandering cannot affect me. I am a perfect mind, part of the great universal mind that is everywhere and works in and through everything. Therefore, my mental powers are perfect. It was a mistake that made me think I could not concentrate. It was simply a delusion of the physical senses. Now I know that this could never be, because I am a perfect mind gifted with God-like powers. Now affirm as follows. Now I know that I can concentrate on any subject I please. My potential powers are infinite. I have only to develop them. I have only to try, and I must succeed. Working in this way, you will develop tremendous powers of concentration. Meditation 7. I send out my thoughts to all mankind and say, Dear everybody, I love you. Like the beams of a searchlight, my mental vision sweeps over all the continents and islands of the world and visualizes all peoples, sending out to them a great beam of love and blessedness. Then it takes in all sky and sun and earth and sea and the sweet breath of heaven. It embraces all animals and flowers and loveliness. It sweeps through 1,000 sunsets and 1,000,000 dew-washed fragrant dawns back to the one source of all life, again affirming, I love you. I love you. Then into my heart flows a great wave of divinest peace, a great inrush of the accumulated love force of the invisible universe. I become submerged in a sea of infinite blessedness. Thus, in blessing others, do I help to make the world a little better, and in return, I am doubly blessed. For this week's visualizing exercise, take 6 small articles and combine them very carefully one at a time. For instance, if one article is a lead pencil, look at it and see in what respects it differs from other lead pencils. Do you notice its color, its shape, either round, hexagon, or oval, its point, well sharpened or otherwise, the maker's name and trademark? What kind of lead? Either BB, B, or HB? The name of the pencil itself, its condition, scratches on the surface of the polish, all these and many other points should be minutely noticed. Examine each article in turn and just as minutely. When you have examined them all, shut your eyes and visualize each article and see every point and peculiarity in your mind's eye, just as you did with your physical sight. Change the articles for new ones from day to day. Appendix. If you lack knowledge of a certain subject and desire to gain this knowledge, then tell your subliminal mind what it is that you require. It will then either supply direct the knowledge that you need or bring to your notice the very book or course of lessons that you require. Also, in solving your problems, your subliminal mind may bring a sentence to your notice, which directly you read it, tells you that it is the answer to your riddle. The more you can quieten the senses and the objective mind and rely upon your subliminal mind, the greater will be your wisdom and understanding. In the letter I have sent you this week, I speak of visualizing and affirming the success that you desire to demonstrate. In the same way, hold the picture of the perfect health ever before your mind. Let it be a constant inspiration and source of radiant joy. Life is action is the keynote of this lesson. It smiles those who seek much from life and yet are prepared to give little or nothing in return. Hip and thigh. Life is action, and man can only find perfect joy and happiness in working hard, not for himself alone, but for the common good. To make your daily task an offering to humanity is to enrich your life with that true joy and happiness which no wealth can ever buy. Not only so, but it is in addition the very keynote of lasting and enduring success. But while it is necessary to tell some that life is action, it is equally necessary to warn others that the best action is only possible when we are inspired by thoughts and ideas which come only to those who spend much time in meditation, visualization, and affirmation. Whatever it is that you desire, meditate upon it, affirm it, and visualize it. Hold it ever before you, and it will be yours, just as surely as the patient stars come each night in the eternal sky. I wish you the joy of accomplishment and the power which comes by meditation in the unseen. End of chapter 7. Okay, pretty good stuff, right? Well, let's head on for more. If you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. But mostly, I would love to know, what was your big takeaway from this chapter? I'll be at the next video with part 8.